Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. I'm happy to be here with you today to talk about my stitching, things I've made, things I've crafted, and plans ahead. Thank you for being patient with me as I again took an unexpected break from filming Flosstube and creating. I've got a little bit of a creative surge that has returned, so I'm thankful for that. I had so much to show you that I just felt like it was getting a little overwhelming, so I needed to come and share, and then we'll be on to Sampler September and some other things ahead, and moving away from all of my sunflowers and bees that I have to show today. But I still think of sunflowers and bees in September and early fall. We're still basically in summer here. It's still hitting 100 many days here in Fort Worth, Texas, where I'm sharing from today, and things are really busy at our house, so I'm going to take what time I can find. I wanted to share, first of all, one quick previous finish. I will have inserted some clips of different displays around my home with sunflowers and bees, and one of my favorites that I've stitched that was a gift from my mom is the Sunflower Berry by Erica Michaels. I've altered this just a little bit because it's supposed to say "You are my sunshine," and I didn't want to try to line it up. I'm not super precise when I finish things, and so that was kind of intimidating to me, and I just thought, let me just make it my sunshine. That is over 1, so this is, I think, 28 count linen, no, maybe 32, because I used whatever was called for, so the template would fit that Erica Michaels provided, or Linda, I guess is her name, but the design is by the company Erica Michaels. And I didn't use any of the called for colors, I recall, because the sunflower leaves to me were a little too dark. I am from Kansas, and so I tried to pick leaf colors that reminded me of the sunflowers near my house growing up. And then I tweeted or blended 2 different DMC colors to get this yellow, I recall. And then I used some felt from Hobby Lobby and made up the top myself. I like it to be kind of foofy. Anymore, I often use silk so that it's real puffy, but this time I used twine and Hobby Lobby ribbons. So it's kind of funky, but it was a lot of fun, and my mom really appreciated having that. It has a couple of companions that I made out of quilt fabric, so that there's 3 total, and I only stitched the 1. I also wanted to stitch some sunflower pillows, just kind of to get my feet wet from having such a slump with my stitching. I'll give a little bit of a life update at the end. I don't really want to, other than to say things went after my video from bad to worse, and I'm just having to accept new normal, that, you know, the expression "you're only as happy as your unhappiest child." I just don't feel like that's going to be a healthy way for me to live, and so learning to have joy despite your circumstances is kind of where I'm at right now. And so I started small. I just started stitching a little bit at a time, and this little freebie comes from Priscilla and Chelsea. I had scraps of linen. I'm kind of going out of order here. My friend Becky gave me this linen for a project that we worked on together at a little retreat we did with just the 3 of a small group of friends, and she had gifted us this week's Dye Works gingham linen. I've never worked with it before. It was a lot of fun, and I couldn't stand wasting any of it. So I used the scraps to make these little tiny sunflower pillows. I did that one with just some lazy daisies. I was going to put some felt leaves, and I just now remembered that I was going to do that, but it's okay. It ended up just being a little sunflower, and it has just a little, they all have the same backing to sort of coordinate here with the lace. I think that lace came from Hobby Lobby, and then just some homespun. And then I actually split this design up. I think it's supposed to be this big, but I didn't have one piece that was big enough, and so I made it into 2. And then I just wanted to have a third just for I guess you always want things in odd numbers, right? So I wanted to make one little tiny one, and that's all I had left. So this was a fun little project, and I made up the colors. I didn't use Priscilla and Chelsea's colors. In fact, this one's a little bit hard to read, but it's pretty prim. So it says pick your own. And then that teal kind of inspired the fabric I used down here. And I had some scraps from a bag I made a couple years ago. I like the way the sunflower kind of goes out to the side, because that was really just a tiny little scrap. You know how I love to use scraps if you've watched my channel for very often. So those were some finishes that I had just done or just completely finished the other day. The other ones I wanted to share, the squirrel pillow that I did with my friends at the little retreat, the mini retreat that we did. This was a gift from my friend Becky. I didn't know what the design was because it was just from a cookbook, and so you couldn't tell, or I couldn't tell, that this was a lawn chair that the squirrel is sitting in, and there's its tail. This is from Blue Flower Stitching, my friend Janine, whom I stitch with sometimes. She's holding an alcoholic drink, and in our house we are complete teetotalers, so we don't have alcohol in our house. I added an acorn, and I didn't even use a chart. I just freehanded an acorn, because I have a lot of them back here with my little squirrel display. I'll try to put some pictures of that at the beginning or end, but it kind of made me laugh because obviously this is like a summery, hat and chair, and I made it in an autumn finish, but that's okay. It has the same backing, but I used some of my sari silk that's kind of multicolored, and then I probably should put like a little brass something there, but I haven't yet. And this yarn was a gift from a sweet subscriber. Thank you so much for sending that, and the lace as well. So all of these things are gifts, and they're just a fun little finish for fall. I just love these colors. The, what is this orange, kind of this burnty color with that black and cream. I just think it turned out so cute. So it sits back here with my little squirrel and my Susie Squirrel book that was a favorite as a child. That was a fun finish, and one that I stitched with my friend Rachel and Becky. And then these bees, I don't see where I put the pattern. Oh, here it is. If you recall, I had a craft with a wool chick that I called a chicken nugget craft. This craft is sort of on that same level. It's kind of a chicken nugget craft. Here's the designer's edition. It's super cute. I'm not knocking her design at all. She did a really good job. It's by Lisa Scherer, and it's on Etsy. I'll try to link it below. Honeybee Garland. She has wooden legs that you attach with little eye hooks that I had forgot to pick up, so I didn't put the legs on. And she tea dyes it. It has, maybe you can see better here. There it is. It has little curly cute antenna and eyes painted on it. And I just kind of got to a different point with it, and I was like, I kind of like it like this. I don't know, but it's kind of a little bit creepy. So that's why I say it's kind of on par as my chicken nugget crafts. Here are these little bees that I came up with. I didn't have the coils that she used for the antenna. I had some black glittery, and I'm glad you can't see it. I think I was successful. This was black glittery pipe cleaners that I didn't want to be sparkly. So I painted them with some brown craft paint on top. And I also just kind of threw the wings in the back here with some twine. I didn't tea dye them. I wanted them to just be muslin. I might go back and fiddle with that, but they turned out pretty fun. I have 5 of them here. I might go ahead and put some legs on them when I actually pick up some little screw-in eye hooks, and then, is that what they're called? I think that's right. And then you can put 2 little wooden legs and string them in a garland. For now though, I'm just putting them here and there. This one had eyes, and I thought it looked kind of demonic. I was like, that is so creepy. I sculpted the face like she did with, the nose, but somehow it just looked kind of scary to me. So I left the eyes off. My son said, those need eyes. It looks creepy, Mom, but I think they look creepy with eyes. So I don't know. Prim crafts can be a little creepy sometimes, but also cute. So creepy and cute. And I just used some craft paint from Hobby Lobby, I think. I used like a mustardy color and then black, and that was it. I didn't do a lot of antiquing, like I said, but they were fun, and I do think they look cute in a bowl and in a hutch. You can see them at the beginning in the hutch or maybe at the end, the hutch tour that I show. So that was another finish that I had a good time doing. I just kind of ended up thinking, I'm not sure that's what the designer had in mind. And I didn't quite read the directions like I was supposed to. So always read the directions from the beginning. That's a good tip. This piece has been a WIP for a couple years. It's from Pineberry Lane. Oh, but it's not wanting to sit straight. I had this up on the hutch and it was fine, but now it's wanting to flop. It is finished on a Target piece from a couple years ago that's in the shape of like a honeycomb, and it has a wood burned bee at the top that I didn't want to cover. So I thought, well, let me modify this design just a little bit. It's actually charted with grapevines at the top, which I didn't feel like I had to have. I liked those cone flowers quite a bit. My mom used to grow those in purple, I think, or kind of a pinky purple, but these are in white. And then Mrs. McGuire, usually if you've seen this design by Pineberry Lane, she's bald and has a real chunky neck. I actually eliminated some stitches on her neck so that she has one, and then added curly hair. And I don't know if you can see those French knots I did that are kind of tacked down, but I wanted her to have curls. And I added a bow on her hat that's purple and a little bit of lipstick and mascara. I always do that to my prim ladies so that they kind of end up being a little bit glam, but also quirky. And the bees, I didn't leave as they were. I actually added lazy daisy stitches there. Now I don't have my Erica Michaels bees were what I was kind of inspired by. She does her wings like that, kind of filled in with kind of a tacked down stitch. And I don't think I used all the called for. The skirt is the called for with the apron, but the beehive, I used a Victorian motto floss that I already had, and then just an ecru. This is a natural linen from Hobby Lobby. I think it's like a 28 count. It might be 32, but I think it's 28. And like I said, I kind of cut off the top so that it would fit on this. And then I added that trim, which I did try to cut my board a little straighter this time with a rotary cutter. I'd had several suggestions, and it works better. I got a little bit wonky with my glue at the bottom, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And when I saw it stretched on Instagram, I noticed I laced this, and I think I laced it a little bit tight because a few of my flowers kind of bend a little bit, but I thought that's okay. In nature, they're not perfect either. So that's why I like botanicals. But I thought that finish turned out really cute. And I don't think you can find this wooden honeycomb piece anymore, but you know, there's lots of different bee things anymore. It's a very popular decor motif. And so anytime I find these, I think it was like $3. I grab it so that I kind of have it in my stash. This was several years, like I said, in the making. So you never know. It's nice to have a little stash. I don't go overboard, but I like the way that this turned out. And I have a bee wall at the top of that stairwell. I keep these out year round. So this will just kind of go in that little niche. I have a shelf that's covered, and it'll kind of be on display all the time when we go up the stairs. So that was Miss McGuire. And my last finish that I have to show you is my favorite. It is a punch needle that is one of the biggest I've done. I did a pumpkin head conversion from a Not Forgotten Farm piece that was bigger, but this one is pretty big. If it doesn't fit in my hoop in one piece and I have to move it and punch with some of my punched parts being squished, then I consider that a big piece. This is called Bloomin' Hens by Theresa Koget. And what's funny is I saw this cross stitch at Silver Needle and loved it, but thought, oh, it's so, you know how Theresa Koget's a lot of times are just full coverage, especially her earlier designs before she really understood cross stitch versus punch needle. I didn't have a desire to do a full coverage piece like this, and I thought I'd rather punch it. And sure enough, they did have it in punch needle, but the flowers were different. The cross stitch has the sunflowers in yellow, and the punch needle has them charted in red. And so I wanted them to be yellow, and I used my own conversion of DMC, and here's how it turned out. I think it looks so pretty. I'd shown this chicken wire frame from a flea market that I found and wasn't sure what I'd do with it. And then I found this design and thought, oh, that'll be perfect on my farm wall. So that's where it's gonna sit. And it also has bees I outlined a little bit of the bees with a marker and decided I didn't like that. So only one of them I did that on. The rest are just white. And none of these are the called for colors, I don't believe. They're similar. I did use some Valdani on that hen. I used an antique black, and I've really just fallen in love with using balls of either pearl cotton or Valdani to punch with because it's so much faster, especially on a piece this large. It doesn't look large, but most pieces are about the size of your hand because it's a lot of thread. It's a lot of thread to do a piece this big. And in fact, I went through 2 skeins just on the leaves, or at least I started with an almost full skein and I had to buy another. So they eat the floss quite a bit. And on the white, I used a pearl cotton, just regular DMC. It's nice to have some variegation, and it does have a little trail for those bees to have some swirls and ecru, but for the most part, it's solid pearl cotton. And then the Valdani is a little more expensive, but it's super neat the way the dye works out. That's all one color except for that outline on the wing, and it looks like several colors. So I think the red is a Valdani too. It's an antique kind of burgundy, so that one turned out really pretty. This one in the middle, the brown, is one of Frankie's from Wicked Stepmother, and it was perfect for that sunflower. I think it's called Mrs. Brown. And then the rest are just DMC. So it's a fun chart. It's older. I think it's been out quite a while, but if you see it, it's a good one. And I didn't know how to attach it. I've heard Christy Potter from Java Girl Stitches kind of talk about this same conundrum, because when you have that chicken wire and there's nothing behind it except, you know, the mesh grid of the fencing, you know, how do you get it to stay? Because hot glue only attaches at the points where the fence is, and this is kind of heavy by the time you put it around. Not really, but I mean, that's quite a bit of thread. And so I was hoping this will work. Let me show you what I did. It looks kind of janky, but I took a piece of notebook paper and I covered the whole back of my wrapped foam core that I put my punch needle on, the weaver's cloth and everything. I covered it with Aleene's tacky glue. And then I put the notebook paper in there to kind of make a sandwich and just really smooth it down. I even put like a weighted book on top to try to make sure that it connected and adhered. So it's kind of just being held by the paper, to be honest. And I don't know how long-term that's going to work. And also because this is really janky, I wasn't kidding. Because this was just a homemade frame that I got at an antique mall, it was sharp, like razor sharp. It was going to scratch my wall. It scratched my hand. And so I put some duct tape along the back here just to kind of, and it's still poking through in 1 or 2 places, but it definitely helps with these sharp wires. You have to be so careful with chicken wire when you're working with it. It will cut you. So that's kind of a cautionary tale. Have whoever helps you with your chicken wire frame really bend those wires so that it's not so raw and scratchy. But you can't tell from the back that there's notebook paper and duct tape on here. It looks really pretty from the front. I could put a piece of fabric back here. I considered it. And let me know if you think that'd be cute if I put some either wool or burlap behind there. I don't know. Right now it's just on the wall and it's, you know, open. So I do love it. I don't have a bow on it or anything. It's just kind of simple because the design kind of speaks for itself, I think. So that was the last of my finishes. Thank you for letting me share those with you. I do enjoy explaining what I've been up to, and hopefully it inspired you, even if maybe you're in a slump as well. Just do a little at a time, do some smaller projects, get your needle back in action, and hopefully that can get you feeling creative like it did for me. So let me get out the whips I'm currently working on and hope to work on in September or coming up. No promises. We're just going to kind of play it by ear. I'm not going to try to put too much on myself, but I have got one project that I'm really enjoying, and let me get that out and I'll be right back. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know my intention this year was no new charts and no starts. I've somewhat abandoned that. I've stuck to it much better than I was in the past. I was ordering mini charts a month and starting new things every couple weeks, and I've slowed down way drastically from that. And in fact, I'm trying to be very selective in the projects that I start, and I needed things that were a little more simple, based on my sort of mental health, I guess. And so I've allowed myself to do that, the smaller little projects, the little bees and the things that I can accomplish and feel good, instead of looking at a daunting, you know, giant sampler for the most part. I was tucked into a couple though on my little friend retreat. We did have, after we finished, though he seemed sleeping, we wanted to start another one. We had started that one together, and so we started a new one together at our retreat, and I'll show you that in a second. But the one I'm working on today and over the last couple days, and it's such a quick stitch, is this Country Cottage Needleworks. Last time I said Little House, I always get them confused because they're mother-daughter, but Country Cottage is the daughter, I believe. She even posted my last finish on her Fan Friday, I think it's called, or just kind of a spotlight, and that was so nice to have her use my finish. I'm using the same easel, but because I was gifted some linen from a sweet subscriber, I'm doing it on this checkerboard linen that I really am liking. This is the same kind of design as the summer, but it's in, you know, the autumn colors. I'm picking my own colors. There's my Anger 20, which is my favorite red. And then 730, I said I didn't like, but on the right linen, it actually works really well. It's more of an antique number floss. I think the one she called for is like Sweet Pea or something. Hers is quite a bit brighter. I don't know if you can see that here, but I'm making it much more muted. And I love the way that this window pane linen, it's a 28 count. I believe it came from Heart's Desire. And as I said, it was a gift from a sweet subscriber. So thank you so much for that. I think it's gonna be super cute on that easel with the ticking and the bow that I'm gonna add a pumpkin to. In fact, there's gonna be some pumpkin stitched here, the word pumpkins, and then I'm using a fun floss. I don't have it with me here, but it's a variegated floss from Frankie's Wicked Stepmother that's called Falling Leaves. And I'm gonna do that for all the leaves instead of alternating colors because it's just such a fun floss to use. And then it has lots of apples and is going to be really sweet. That's, I think, 2 days work, so I hope to get that done relatively quickly. It's always nice to have a display that's in season. I had a couple that had stalled out, and I have my ABCs all finished. The Little House, that one is Little House, I believe. I'll show you in the intro, but it's nice to have a series that you can swap out that's complete. It's a gratifying feeling. And then I had, like I said, a new start from my little friend retreat that we did, and Becky Socks for Mom made me a beautiful bag. I love this fabric. It matches my linen that I chose really well. I think this is a I should have had this written down. It's a unknown dyer. I think it is Fabrics by Stephanie, but I'm not sure. It's called Purely Primitive. I got it from, oh, this is upside down. I got it from Anita's Little Stitches, and it was really discounted, and she doesn't always have her linen designated like where it came from. It's just kind of like a one-off, I guess. And so this is kind of a bluey green. I think you can catch that. The Sweet Temper sampler is, I think it's turned on like a French vanilla or just a cream color, but I really wanted my white house to show up. That's not even stitched, actually. Never mind, I might have to put white in there, but I wanted the different ecru elements on this to really stand out. And I might be changing that blue. I've just always admired it. I've had it kitted up for quite a while, and Rachel and Becky both liked it too. So I started it on this 40 count linen. And if you recall, I had not been a fan of 40 count. I used 40 count mallow on my All Creatures Great and Small and felt like I can't see it. But my friend Michelle was telling me it depends on the dyer. Mallow is very small and very tight. The one that you get from 123 Stitch, that's a linen blend. It's not even full linen. And she assured me if you can stitch on 36, you can stitch on 40. And she was right. I can see these holes really well. I mean, it is a little more challenging. It's not like my 28 count, Country Cottage piece, but I can see it. And I do really love the way it looks. This piece is bigger than I thought. I thought it would fit on a fat quarter, but unless you do 40, you have to get a fat half. And so I wanted it to fit on a fat quarter. I want this to go in my bedroom. I love those kind of dusty blue colors. Most of this is DMC that was already charted for. You can see the colors are kind of muted. And then I did switch out a couple options. I have a silk that I might use, and then I was probably going to go with this cottage blue, which is by Gentle Arts. Instead of the DMC, I think it's this one. It was just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit too harsh for me. I wanted it to be just a little bit more muted. So I might use this bright one, though. It does have a nice impact. You can see that Theresa, the designer, wanted that to kind of have a impact like the skirt does. That's an Avera Soie, I believe. It's a silk. So I wasn't crazy about the baby blue DMC, but I don't know, we'll see. I have 3 options I can choose when I get to that skirt. And it also kind of depends on how it works on my purely primitive fabric. When I ordered it online, I didn't know what it would look like. I thought it would be more tan, but it's a bluey, kind of bluey gray green. I love it. And I think it works perfectly for this. There's a little bird, and I've started on the tree. I haven't really pulled this out since that couple weeks after our retreat, but I want to keep working on this and get some of those elements in there, like the bird cage and maybe that big bird on top. The bottom is a satin stitch, and because my whip pile is pretty big, this will probably stay a whip for a long time. I haven't put those in there. And even on a fat quarter on 40 count, I have a very small margin on. There's plenty of room width-wise, but lengthwise, I don't have a lot of room. So I have like a 2-inch, 1.5 inch border. And I always start as far over as I can. Then I'll have extra linen. I'm sort of miserly that way. So we did measure it carefully, though. Becky helped me. Oh, and it has this sweet little minder that's about to come off. Rachel picked this up at the, where did it go? I lost the magnet. Oh, it just hit the floor. This little minder was from the New Jersey retreat that Rachel went to, and she shared those with us. So we have matching bags and matching projects, and it was just a joy to start that together. We had such a nice time sharing and encouraging one another, and Becky hosted. So we're going to try to make that an annual thing. And I wasn't supposed to be starting any new samplers, but I was happy to do it. Okay, sorry, I am really rusty at this. Not that I'm ever, on my game totally, but my throat just seized up on me. I could not even speak. So got a little drink, and hopefully my throat will cooperate. The other thing I got at my friend's retreat that we did, just kind of a sleepover, really, like a slumber party for, I didn't realize this had its own needle and leaf on it. The other project I got at the sleepover was an adopted whip. I have not done this before, I don't believe, but my friend Rachel asked if I would like to adopt this berry bowl sampler from Heartstring Samplery that she and another Flosstuber, which I don't have permission to share, but it was so generous of her. She had changed her mind on doing this project, just didn't have the time or energy to keep going, and so she gifted all of the floss, the Call for Weeks Dye Works and Gentle Arts, and the linen, which is a Picture This Floss 36 count cherub. Beautiful linen. And actually, I was just noticing it has a needle minder on there, and it has a start. I don't know if I stitched the same way as this Flosstuber. I couldn't remember. I've been told I stitched backwards, so I don't know if it's gonna matter. It's just a small little start with the berry bowl. So even if I do stitch, in fact, yeah, she starts the opposite leg that I do. I go left to right, and she started right to left. So, but that's okay. I'll finish crossing those X's, and then I'll stitch the way I stitch, because I couldn't switch if I wanted to. So here's the whole project, and I will be stitching this with Rachel from Stitch and Be Well, and we will attempt. I just said I'm not very good at accuracy as far as finishing, so maybe we'll get together and do this where you split it. And I know my friend Becky did it with Amy Loves Toads. They just finished theirs, and I'll have to join it together, but I'm sure that'll probably take us a while. We both have busy lives and kids and church life, so it's going to be a long-term project, but I'm very happy to take it on. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I thought, no, I can skip that, but it wore me down. And when I saw all my friends in my stitching group do it, I thought, okay, I'll join in, because I do love it. So that was an adopted whip. I haven't actually started stitching on it yet, but Rachel and I will be doing that. And then the other one I wanted to show you, these are projects I have started in the past, and they just are so inspiring at this point in the year because I love fall colors. I love, you know, just autumnal flosses are so beautiful to me. So these are calling to me for Sampler September. I don't know, some of them are samplers, some of them aren't. Don't know if I'm going to get to them all, but I thought I would just kind of show them real quickly to kind of show where I'm at in case I do. Here is Ghoul Tide Welcome by Plum Street. I've been buying the NPIs a little at a time, and I have enough to do the border. So that's what I was doing. And this is the silk. The what does NPI stand for? Needlepoint Incorporated, I think. A lovely silk to work with. It's just a dark brown and then kind of a bittersweet color. That's the word I was trying to think of, bittersweet. Kind of a bittersweet color on the berry there. And then I have the green for the grass. And I think I got, oh, the house, it looks black, but it's actually more of a brown black. That's the color on the border. So this is as high as it gets. I'd like to work some more over, and I'd like to work on that grass. But especially to finish some of these berries. They're kind of those little toilet plunger motifs. That's what Lisa Kindred Stitcher calls it. And I always think of that now. Little toilet plungers. So I want to work on that. And this linen is Days Gone By. It's another one-off that I got from Anita's. It's very blotchy, but I think it's really good for a Halloween piece. Although I'm not going to say Ghoul Tide Welcome. I'm going to do something like Harvest Welcome or Harvest Blessing, something like that. So, and I'm not going to have the witch on it. It's going to be more of like a fall piece. So that one was calling to me. Hadn't shared it in a while. And it's in just a little black kind of spooky bag that I made a while ago. The other fall one is in a, this is a UK designer's fabric. I can't remember what her name is, but I love it. It's so pretty, I think. And the colors sort of remind me of this Feast of Friendship. Ton of people have done it. I've got quite a bit done. If I really applied myself, I think I could get it done sooner than later, but I have been sort of stalled out on it. And I'm using my own dyed blue on that house. And also the corn, what is that called? Blue corn floss. I love the blue house. That was one of the reasons. And I started on the pumpkin over there. I can fill that in and maybe get some of the vase done. So I just want to get a little bit of work done. On this one, it's not a huge piece. This is, I think, 36 count. I think this is a Victorian motto when I was in the fabric club from a while ago. So I don't know what it's called, and I don't think you can get it anymore, but it's just kind of a beige color. And this one of the reasons I want to work on it too is it is such a floss eater. I mean, it has one of the biggest floss lists of any project I've ever done, and it's not very big because of the fruit bowl, I guess. But I mean, it's probably got 20 plus colors, and there are some really pretty overdyed. So I'd love to free some of these up and get my blues done and get, you know, some of my fruit colors, especially because I don't think it takes a ton of floss for the fruit, but you definitely have a good floss monopolizer there. So I'd love to work on that one. I think Celeste finished that one, and lots of people have. So that's a pretty one. And then the last one I haven't shown you in a while, but it's almost kind of not Halloween-y, but I have it on a spooky fabric, and it's kind of a favorite. It's Kathy Barrett's Fall's Gifts. Several people have worked on this or have it in their stash. I want to say that there's a new Flosstuber. I'll try to put her name here if I can find it, because she showed it finished, and the first time I've ever seen it finished, I was really inspired. I'm changing the name to a relative's name to my great grandmother, and so instead of Hattie Jane, it's gonna say Molly Shanels. She was born in Argentina, and I had the date on there. I can't remember where I was going to put. Oh, Molly Fritzler Shanels is what I was going to put on there. So here's my progress. All the pumpkins are outlined. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the start of that fifth one. All of them are on there. I just need to fill them in and then finish Molly's name. It's a fun stitch. It's very dense though. The pumpkins are pretty much full coverage, so I need to put some work in this. And this is just an 18 count or 16 count Aida that I dyed myself to look a little bit like a darker version of Murky. I like the way the white pumpkin and some of those brighter colors will really show up on that. So those are just some fall. I went and put them all in a basket together so I could be feeling a little inspired. I've had such a slump that I wanted to do whatever. If it's not following the plan I had, I'm still working on Hot Grown Hollow a little bit. I showed that on Instagram a couple weeks ago. I pulled that out on a Sunday and I worked on the border. Just trying to do simple things that make me feel like I'm getting some progress, but not feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes that's what you need to do. So pulled that one out. And then the last one that's been calling me, I thought about Sampler September, and I thought, oh, I had so many samplers that I've over the years pulled out and had plans to work on and not done really well. And I thought, what's the one sampler that I think about and want to work on? And I want to put in a thread a day on Louisa Coulimore because she is just such a beautiful piece, and I love the red color. I love the linen. It's not the easiest linen to stitch on, but I do love the color. It comes from Vicki Clayton, hand dyed by Vicki. Or Hand Dyed Fibers website, and she doesn't sell linen anymore. It was kind of a clearance that she was pulling out. So there's a page finish. I had started down here at the bottom. I was explaining in another video. I thought this sampler was so simple, but these motifs over here in the bottom, some of these swirlies, they're not really that simple. So I might go back to doing my letters because you can get a lot accomplished there and feel good about it. And am I all the way over? Yeah, I'm all the way over. So there's the top, and then this is 36 count. So it's gonna be a pretty big girl, but not anywhere near all the other Bristol orphanage samplers. I really wanted to have one of each school, you know, Bristol Orphanage and then the Ackworth School. I love the idea of having the schools represented. So the one color I'm using on that's the other reason it's so nice, is Lipstick Red by Threadworks. And I get a lot of questions about this floss every time I use it. It's so fun because it variegates really nice. And it comes in 20 yarn skeins. So, and that's a pretty little thread keep. I think that was from a friend. And I keep it in this little, what is this designer of the fabric? French General. This French General fabric that I have, it's perfect for that sampler. So that's pretty much it. I also had another piece that I picked up, and I might start this modern, tiny modernist piece I found because I had that arch-topped chalkboard that I showed in my last video and wanted something to go in there seasonally, and I thought that would fit so well in there. So I've got an idea. I might start this. It's not very big. It's only like 4 by 7. I think it's pretty small, and I love those sunflowers. So I might do that on a tan fabric. I'm not going to do it as a continual piece. I'm just going to finish it on my easel that is chalkboard, and it has that perfect arch. So we'll see if I finish my seasonal celebrations, and I want to. I'm just giving myself permission if I want to. We'll see. And then one more project I wanted to share. I don't have a chart for it, but I want to make this. Oh, there's my hampers back there. I was trying to make my background nice, but I've got some mess over there that I need to take upstairs. This project has been on my radar for a while because Priscilla and Chelsea have done these letters with the HOME, and then you use the center to make a wreath. I'm on the team. Several people have done it where you buy the letters, and I'm going to paint these black, I think, and put them on the linen finished on this checkered fabric. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. I'm not going to stitch H, M, and E. I am going to stitch the O with a wreath, and I'm going to make it up myself a little bit. I will purchase, I don't want to be a total, plagiarist here, I guess, because I totally got the idea from Priscilla and Chelsea, but the home with the wreath in the middle is pretty widespread. I think that's been around for years, and so I don't feel super bad, but as far as the way they finished it, I'm going to purchase one of their charts that has the seasonal, like Santa and things like that. But for now, I'm going to make it up myself with just sketching in an O that's the same size and then just stitching some leaves. I don't feel like that'll be difficult. And the fabric that I had was gifted from a friend. I have tons of this 10 count vintage cloth. And so I wasn't sure how Priscilla and Chelsea's pattern would translate with what I have. And I'm trying to I didn't want to go nuts and buy everything for it. I wanted to use what I had. So I'm going to be making this over the next month, I hope. I had all the materials gathered. I just need to put it together, and I'm only stitching the O, so hopefully it won't be that bad. So that's another project coming up. But other than that, I'm just going to stitch on what I feel like stitching. I think that's called Whatever I Want. and WIW and see how it goes. So let me show a couple of things. Actually, you know what? I am not going to share haul this time because this is kind of a feast of friendship, as my chart indicates. I have been gifted so many beautiful packages over the last few months. Some of y'all, or many of y'all know, I've really struggled the last couple years really with a lot of loss and just heartache in my family. And so people have been thinking of me and sending me linen and books and charts. I have some that I'll be sharing in a giveaway coming up, but I've just been overwhelmed by the generosity of this community. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Every time I've had just a really hard day, almost without fail, I'll get a card or a package. My husband brings them home from the church where I've given you all my address, and it's just such a blessing and such a kindness. So thank you to all of you. And if I haven't given you a thank you note, I hope you'll give me grace there. I have a pile that I need to write, and I do try to thank you on Instagram or however we communicate. But if I've missed you, I do apologize. Things have been just really, really dark for me, and I'm feeling like I'm coming out of that again. I said that last time, and then it got so much worse. Like I said, I really can't base my, I guess my mental health wellness on circumstances around me. I'm just really struggling to find an even place. And August kind of hit me hard, not thinking about all the different anniversaries that were coming up, all the birthdays of family that. It was my first birthday of my mother and my mother-in-law. They were born 2 days apart, and I went through that. And then 6 days later was the anniversary of my mom's death. And you don't think about those things until they come up. This is my first major loss that I've dealt with. And there's something about it being the same time of year. You recall things you were doing around that time. You were getting ready for school, getting ready for just different milestones within the year, and there's something about that time of year coming back around where it starts to really stir up the grief. And so it hit me hard for about 8 days there. It was just one thing after another, missing my mom, missing my mother-in-law, missing her anniversary of her death. And so those kind of things had more of a setback than I expected, and I'm trying to give myself grace in that and getting through it. And instead of feeling so sad all the time, I don't cry as much. I do have more of a gratitude of, I'm so grateful that I had both my mom and my mother-in-law in my life, and they were so kind to me and such a blessing to me. So trying to, as one of y'all said in the comments of my last video, and I think this is from the Mitford books too, when you're feeling so bad and so sad, think about how you can bless someone else. And so I've tried to, instead of feeling sorry for myself, and I'm not that grief is difficult, because sometimes you do feel like, well, I should pull out of this and I should stop feeling sorry for myself. And it's not really the same thing. It's just a loss that has repercussions for a long time. And so I'm trying not to be hard on myself, but at the same time, I'm trying not to feel so sad all the time and to kind of wallow in it. So I'm trying to think about how I can bless others. And I hope to bless y'all with some giveaways coming up and some free patterns that I'd like to share that I've designed, different ways like that. I also wanted to film another Stitch and Pray with some of the verses that have been really helpful to me through this hardship, for those of you that enjoy those or want to watch that. So that's coming up. And do have one giveaway. I was going to share some books, but I honestly don't have, well, I do have one. I'll share one. I've read a lot lately, but I haven't read a lot of things that on my channel, I really want to focus on books that I feel like are really clean and that are really uplifting. And I just haven't found a lot of those lately. I think they're kind of like unicorns. So when I find them, I'll share them. But I did have this Mitford book to give away, and I haven't had time to search up the name yet. I'll do the random name picker, and I will put that name here. So if this is you, please contact me with your address, either via Instagram or my email below. I would love to send this out to you via media mail, US only. And then I did have one book. So that giveaway I will share. And then this one was a book of the month for July. It's from one of my favorites, Catherine Center. I've talked about her a lot, but if you're wondering about this newest book from her called The Bodyguard, I did really enjoy it. I didn't know what to expect. The Bodyguard is actually the female lead in this story, so that seemed kind of strange, but you know, the female firefighter was one of my favorites, so I gave it a chance and I loved it. It's based in Texas, so I could relate to a lot of it there. And the male lead is a movie star, which I don't usually, doesn't really resonate with me usually, but he's such a nice guy in this one. He's just so kind, and the situation is funny. It's almost like a comedy, but it just was really, I guess it tugs at your heart. Her books just really have the ability to do that for me. So I would recommend The Bodyguard. If you've seen it and wondered if it's any good, I did really enjoy it. And I do still love my book of the month. I will put my email below. I don't have a code that's like one for everybody, but if you email me, I can send you a join the book of the month club for like $5 or $9.99. I can't remember which. I do have codes for that. So let me know if you're interested, and I hope that you are doing well. Like I said, have thought of y'all often as you've texted or as you've messaged me and sent me kind encouragement. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you have a great September and enjoy fall, even if it's hot, and I'll hope to talk with you soon. Thanks. I am really out of practice, as I say at the end of all my videos. May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. That's from Psalm, and I'll have to put the address here because I'm that rusty. But I do pray that for y'all, that you find his favor and enjoy the work of your hands. Take care.